Hello, hello. Thank you, my friend. Everybody's back. Oh, my God. Well, this is session 8. I'm sad because after it's only session 9 and after, woof, 1 year before we meet again. Thank you. So session 8, and I have this T-shirt, you know. Wow, they're all jealous because not everybody has this T-shirt, you know, from last year, EMC. And I'm so sorry because my English is pathetic, you know. Not only my English, but my English is really pathetic. Alors, un tout petit mot pour les Français, pour les petits Français, bienvenue à tous. Hein. Et si j'ai un conseil à vous donner, eh ben, faut apprendre l'anglais parce que sinon, ben, effectivement, vous perdez beaucoup de choses. Okay, so. To start this session, I want to introduce you a very dear friend, and he's a multi-talented guy. He's a writer, he's a publisher, he has a beautiful wife for many years, yes, and he has a very dry sense of humor, because on stage he's one of the funniest guys I've ever seen. Also, he has a huge love for history of magic, and now you are in for something with my pal, Mike Kevney.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gaetan. Merci beaucoup.
Mon plaisir, monsieur.
It is time for your history lesson. But as Matt King would say, don't everybody leave, because history can be a lot of fun to look back. You can learn a lot. So to begin, in 1912, England's Magic Wand magazine reported, quote, "A new era of magic has arisen in Leeds, and Mr. Soretta Jeans is its prophet." Well, those words are as true today as they were the day they were written nearly 100 years ago. But magicians reading that in 1912 must have thought, Soretta Jeans, Leeds, England? You've got to be kidding. Everybody knew that London, and not Leeds, was the center of all things magical, with the greatest names in magic constantly appearing in the dozens of music halls in the London area. Just some of the performers who were working in the London area when those words were written in 1912 include Houdini, Horace Golden, P.T. Selbit, Chung Ling Soo, Leroy Talma and Bosco, and that doesn't even include who was holding court at St. George's Hall, where the Maskelyne family held up with their roster of top magical stars. These were the people, and this was the city where the newest and the greatest magic was being created, not some nobody in Leeds. Well, generally speaking, that was true, but the fact remains, in 1912, Walter Soretta Jeans invented not just a new trick, but a revolutionary new principle. He created an invisible pathway that extended from backstage to the center of the stage, through which objects could be delivered to the magician or dispatched to the wings unseen by the audience. As you might imagine, the possibilities created by this device were limitless. From a small enclosure in the middle of the stage, a magician could produce, vanish, or transform virtually any object. Walter's invention was so devious and so versatile that I believe it should be considered one of the greatest magical inventions of all time. So, who was Walter Soretta Jeans, and why has his name been almost completely forgotten? Well, he, for one thing, ran a curious amusement emporium in Leeds, England, called the Panopticon. They presented displays of waxwork figures and optical illusions. Now, Jeans spent countless hours sitting out in front in the ticket booth of the Panopticon, practicing coin manipulations and thinking about stage illusions. One day, Harry Houdini visited the Panopticon, and after witnessing an eye-popping display of Gene's skill with coins, Houdini blurted out one of his typical insulting compliments. He said, quote, "You are the greatest unknown man I have ever met." Another longtime friend of Gene's once described him as a small, insignificant man. And despite my having published 2 editions of a book on Gene's life and magic, Houdini's words are unfortunately still true. Walter Genes is an unknown man. Now, one problem was that Walter used his revolutionary principle to perform a trick that even in 1912 was already an old effect. It was the inexhaustible hat. 30 years earlier, Joseph Michael Hartz had made his reputation with the inexhaustible hat. Now, Genes called his version the silver hat, but the effect was relatively unchanged. Sitting at the center stage on a skeleton table was a polished metal hat. From this hat, Genes made an astonishing production of clocks, bowls of beer, bowls of goldfish, boxes of eggs, canisters of flour, bags of billiard balls, pots of flowers, plus a long paper-thin streamer made of brass, the world's first hat coil. You see, Walter had spent years working in a brass foundry, and he found that by rolling out thin sheets of brass, he discovered that they could be used as an attractive production item. The silver hat utilized this groundbreaking new principle, but the effect to a lay audience was strictly old hat. It was as if Genes had invented the telephone and then used it to speak only to people in the next room. Well, in an effort to promote his new attraction, Gene produced this small booklet that contained newspaper reviews of some early performances. Now, it should be noted that Walter was not a great performer himself. Even the design of his poster was about as dull as it could be. Here he looks more like a serious thinker or college professor without exhibiting even a trace of showmanship. Now, he was fully aware of this fact, and Walter's usual practice was to invent a new attraction and then hand it off to an established music hall performer. This allowed Walter to continue operating the Panopticon and to continue thinking up new attractions. His friend Harry Hutchison, who performed under the name Harry Marvello, toured England's provincial music halls for 2 years with Gene's silver hat. Now, this beautiful 3-sheet poster shows the many items that appeared from that hat, and it also records the first appearance of a hat coil. Seen at the bottom are the words, "Gene's New Era Magic, Making Brass." Now, I know that many of you viewers are familiar with the workings of this trick, which today is known as the $1 Million Mystery, as it has been explained in numerous magic books, including Walter Gene's Illusioneer, written by Peter Warlock and published by myself. But there are surely others who do not know the secret, and since all of you are going to see a performance of the illusion in the next session, I think you would find it much more enjoyable to remain in the dark, at least for the time being. But don't worry, a detailed explanation will be included in the set of DVDs that will arrive in the mail in due time. I can tell you this. Walter Gene's illusion relied on a principle that had been in regular use by magicians since 1865. It was used to produce a wide variety of effects. But so revolutionary was Walter's application of this principle that eventually it would be recognized as a stroke of genius. The only magic principle that might be comparable to Gene's invention in versatility, I think, would be black art. But by 1912, black art had been around for decades, and audiences had had plenty of time to stare into that pitch blackness that enveloped the stage and suspect that something or someone was hiding in all of that darkness. And of course, those who did think that were absolutely correct. Walter Gene's invention, on the other hand, flourished in a totally opposite environment. There were no dark curtains. The lights were up full. He seemingly had nothing to hide. Well, by 1915, Walter thought enough of his invention to have it patented in England. But the principle was basically ignored for the next 10 years. In 1925, the Maskelynes paid Walter £100 to supply them with all the apparatus necessary so that they could install the illusion in St. George's Hall. And that's when they learned just how much equipment was required to create an invisible passageway. It's not unlike an iceberg with just one small box visible at center stage and a truckload of additional equipment behind the scenes. But even the Maskelynes didn't recognize the potential of Walter's creation. They planned to use this enormous amount of apparatus to accomplish a mind-reading trick, which is sort of like using the proverbial sledgehammer to crack a walnut. Maskelyne found the setup to be so complicated and so temperamental that the equipment sat unused for 6 years. In 1927, Walter enlarged his invisible passageway and created a new effect. So pleased was he with this new idea that he invited his friend P.T. Selbit up to Leeds for a private showing. Jeans couldn't have picked a better critic. P.T. Selbit was the inventor of such illusions as the elastic lady, crushing a woman, through the eye of a needle, and the most famous illusion of the 20th century, sawing through a woman. But what Selbit saw in Leeds was another mediocre effect accomplished by a brilliant principle. It would appear that Percy Selbit was the one who finally realized the unlimited potential of Jean's ingenious principle and created the fantastic effects that we know today as the $1 Million Mystery. Selbit's new elaborate routine consisted of about 5 effects, each one more baffling than the last. What had started out as a mere curiosity was now a bona fide miracle. Selbit took the new $1 Million Mystery into London music halls, where it was hugely successful. In March of 1928, he began a 6-week season at St. George's Hall, during which the Maskelynes witnessed the full power of Jean's creation. This kind of success travels fast over the North Atlantic, and just 1 year later, Howard Thurston purchased a copy of the illusion for his show in America. Now, this photo shows Thurston's assistant costumed as the devil emerging from the cabinet. And while this is an accurate depiction of Thurston's illusion, it's always interesting to see how an illusion is depicted on a poster that was used to sell tickets. Here is that same illusion as it appeared in Thurston's advertising, embellished with a bit of artistic license. Well, patent attorney James Wobensmith suggested that Thurston could protect his investment by patenting the illusion in America. So Thurston teamed with Fergus Greenwood, known professionally as Fasola, and filed for a U.S. patent. Eventually, Cefalo and Nicola added the illusion to their own show. By the early 1930s, Charles Carter had completed 6 trips around the world and was home in San Francisco recovering from his most recent heart attack. He used this time to search for new illusions that could be added to his show. By this time, Carter could have easily procured both the British and the U.S. patent papers for the $1 Million Mystery, thus acquiring all the information that was necessary to duplicate the illusion, which is exactly what he did. He first presented what he called Einstein's theory of living in the 4th dimension in September of 1932 at the Golden Gate Theater in San Francisco. The illusion was also part of the show that Carter presented in his Temple of Mystery at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, where he hoped to operate a grind show for the run of the fair. This is the artist's conception of the steel theater that Carter had built on the Midway in Chicago. Well, just 2 months after opening day at the fair, unable to compete with the wildly successful striptease act of Sally Rand, Carter's Temple of Mystery turned into a Temple of Doom. He cut his losses, he sold his custom-built theater, and by the following year he had embarked on what would be his 7th and final world tour. The $1 Million Mystery accompanied him to Australia, to New Zealand, Tasmania, Asia, and finally to India, where Carter died of another heart attack. His show was returned to San Francisco, and for the next 30 years, it sat forgotten in a warehouse. When it was eventually rediscovered, many of the illusions were placed on display in a San Francisco nightclub called the Magic Cellar. Then, in 1990, Bill Smith and myself purchased the entire show and moved it to Los Angeles. Besides retaining the massive archive of papers and scrapbooks, I also held on to the spirit cabinet and the $1 Million Mystery. My interest in this illusion, the $1 Million Mystery, stemmed from the Walter Jeans biography that I had published in 1986. Now I had the complete apparatus that Carter used on his final world tour more than half a century earlier. But even with the massive paper trail that Carter left behind, there was no indication as to who built his $1 Million Mystery apparatus. What is clear is that it was not constructed by any of the established illusion builders of the time, such as Floyd Thayer, who had built a number of Carter's other illusions. I'm convinced that someone outside of magic, who was a very fine craftsman, constructed this prop. The box was made of wood and then covered with copper sheeting. The corners were reinforced with angled brass. There was absolutely no concern paid to how much this apparatus might weigh, and as a result, every bit of it is unbelievably heavy. After a lengthy restoration process, which brought the box back to its original 1932 appearance, it looked as good as new. Now, one question you probably have is this. If this is such a great illusion, why is no one performing it today? Well, that's a very good question, but the answer might surprise you. Doug Henning, David Copperfield, Siegfried and Roy, Paul Daniels, and Luis de Matos have all performed and used Walter Jean's ingenious principle. But they all created wildly different effects with it, so there's a very good chance that even those who were in the know didn't recognize it. In fact, I would venture to say that many of these modern-day applications would have fooled even Walter Jeans himself. Now, I should add that the reason why you don't see this principle used more often is because the staging of it is so complicated. If it isn't the most impractical illusion, then it is right up there near the top of the list. But the only way to fully understand every detail of an illusion is to perform it in front of a live audience. So this is what I decided to do at the 7th Los Angeles Conference on Magic History in 2001. Now, instead of trying to come up with a brand new modern use for Walter Jean's invention, we settled on a 5-phase routine made up entirely of effects that had been created by Walter Jeans and P.T. Selbit. And while Charles Carter did leave behind his apparatus, he did not leave us a copy of the script, so I have no idea what his patter was. But based on the years of research that I did into the life of Carter the Great, I wrote a routine full of mumbo-jumbo about Einstein's theory of the fourth dimension that I think Carter would approve of. But our one single performance at the conference felt like a dress rehearsal. So we decided to present it again for a full week at the Magic Castle, where during 20 shows, we got a chance to iron out a lot of the kinks. Watching the reaction each night of audiences made up of laymen as well as knowledgeable magicians convinced me that the $1 Million Mystery might just be the greatest effect of all time. And that isn't just my opinion. No less than Charles Reynolds told me that he thought it was the greatest trick he had ever seen. So now you have the history behind Walter Jean's amazing creation, which we know today as the $1 Million Mystery. On the forthcoming DVDs, I will provide a full explanation of this ingenious principle, and at the beginning of the next session, you will see a performance of the illusion that was recorded at the Magic Castle. And during that performance, I'm going to ask you to forget everything you have just heard. Forget about the technology, about the patent papers, about the hundreds of pounds of equipment that you are not seeing. Just imagine you are sitting at the Temple of Mystery at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, listening to Carter the Great explain, as best he can, Einstein's theory of living in the fourth dimension by demonstrating Walter Jean's masterpiece, The $1 Million Mystery. Thanks for listening.
Well, That's it?
That's it.
But we don't see it?
No. No.
What do you mean?
No, the explanation will be done later, and at the beginning of the next session,
Yes.
on the big screen, for the first time in 50 years, the $1 Million Mystery.
My God.
You have to wait.
We are in for something. Big applause. Mike Gaffney.
Thank you, Gates.
Thank you. I can't wait for that. Okay. Now, I met these guys for the first time a few years ago in Las Vegas. Yes, I was in Las Vegas and during a beautiful convention. And Polaris came to me and said, oh, you have to watch these two guys. They are young, very young, but watch what they do with pack of cards. And I said, yeah, of course. And I watch, and I watch, and I had to sit. Because what I saw there was something I'd never seen before. All the flourishes, whatever, so fantastic. So now they are more older, hein, they are older. Ils sont plus vieux, on dit en français. I tried to translate for my French. Okay. And, but they are so beautiful, they are so incredible. They have 4 hands, but I think the same brain is working for them. Here for you, Dan and Dave, the Buck Brothers.
So, thank you, Gaten, but unfortunately we're not going to show you anything right now. Maybe we'll do it later. We have a presentation. This presentation is about details. You learned the other day we're inspired by design, and one of our favorite team of designers are Ray and Charles Eames. Even if you're not familiar with who they are, chances are you're very familiar with their work, as it has influenced the design of our everyday lives. And one of our favorite quotes from them is, "The details are not the details, they make the design." And for us, design, or details in particular, is usually a subtractive process. So to start, we'll start with hand care. You know, it's important to take care of your hands. These are the things your audience sees. Learn to give yourself a manicure or get one done. Just take care of your hands. These are in front of your audience, and it's very important. Exercise your fingers and build hand strength. This will improve your dexterity. Take it seriously. There's lots of types of cards out there, and they all affect the mood and presentation of where you're performing. Use a deck that complements your style. Preparation. When opening a deck of cards, especially in front of your audience, there are a few things to consider, and we'll discuss each of these. To start, the cellophane. We would suggest removing the cellophane completely before approaching your audience. Do this behind the scenes, so come out with a deck already prepared. Why? Well, because plastic's out of style, it's ugly, it creates noise, and it's an unnecessary piece of trash. Next up is the seal. Crack the seal before you come out. Why? Because it takes time opening the seal. When you do crack the seal, cut it along the crescent and use a knife or a playing card or a credit card to give it a nice smooth cut. Or remove it altogether. Again, it's not necessary. It has no more practical use. The flaps, we like keeping the flaps and think they serve a purpose. They do serve a purpose. They keep the box locked closed. So don't tear them off. Again, that's unnecessary trash. And finally, the ad cards. Remove these before you come out. You might also want to remove the jokers because it's unnecessary trash. Advantages, I kind of just went over this. It eliminates time and unnecessary trash. It's not appealing or even nice to listen to. And plus, it allows the cards to be conditioned. If you open them beforehand, you're able to break them in. Practice removing the cards from the box and putting them back in the box. Believe it or not, there's actually techniques to this. And it should be done with skill and confidence. Conditioning. It's helpful if the cards are conditioned or broken in. And this way you know exactly how they'll handle. Maintain a pristine-looking deck and avoid large bridges, crimps, unnecessary bends. Keep them square. Show them they're perfect, or show them the respect. Cleanliness. We've all heard cleanliness is next to godliness. I guess Danny didn't get that memo. A few ways to keep a fresh-looking box are to remove them from the pocket when sitting down or use a card clip. These are some card clips we offer on our website. They're manufactured by Joe Porper. They're very nice. We recommend them. To maintain a new-looking deck of cards by keeping the edges white can be achieved basically by washing your hands. This is all common sense. Boxing them when they're not in use. use a clean surface to work on or a close-up pad, or have multiple decks so you can switch them out as they become moist. Again, common sense, but above all, respect your deck.
Handling, depending on your style and approach, will determine how you handle a deck of cards. Be comfortable with the cards, but understand that being natural takes practice.
Aesthetics. For us, aesthetics are revealed in the quality of the details. Therefore, every factor influences aesthetics, so practice these details. Simple is always better. Everything should have its place and serve a purpose. Achieve effortlessness. Thanks.
Thank you, yeah, okay. So, that's beautiful. So now you know everything. You have just to practice, you know. They are crazy too. And I love crazy people. And so the one coming now is really a crazy man of magic, you know. Why crazy? Because he developed a unique sense of card magic, but also he loves so many other aspects of magic and puzzles. He loves puzzles. You don't know that, but it's true. He loves puzzles. So now he's not going to do card tricks. He's going to teach you something, a new principle about a very old trick, very powerful trick. So, with you, now, Leonard Green.
Thank you. Yeah. A new area for me in the magic field. It's, I've always been interested in magic squares, but kept it for myself, more or less. The first time I did the magic square was in my chess club in Sweden, and since then I've done it now and then. But now I think I will reveal it, because yeah, I'm old now, and I tried to do it actually a month ago in Sweden, but after I had made a nice brochure and lots of interesting combination, but after I think 15 minutes I heard, oh, boring, boring. And the leader said, please do something with cards when the card disappears. So I stopped it. But I think the technique, the system behind this is so strong and so easy. So I must give it away. I hope I can do with Rhythm Atos a DVD, and because basically it takes, I think, 2 hours to explain the method. But I will give you some example. And the magic square I will demonstrate is 4x4. And my original source was Hoffman's book, because one period, I think 100 years ago at least, there was a kind of challenge among the subscriber from a Magic magazine. And this was a kind of game called 34 Puzzle, the 34 Puzzle. And lots of different methods appear. Solution, I think maximum, and the rule was 1 till 16. Only these numbers in the square. Okay, we start. And a big hand for Eva, who will help me. Hi, yes, excellent. We plan to use, yeah, you can sit down, to use your birthday, but we have another solution, right? So we take the birthday from the, yeah. So anyone from any, yeah, just tape your birthday, and I will do the square of it. Hopefully. Can you explain what happened?
January 12th. Yeah, the year, we've got one, 24 June 88. Fortunately.
24 here?
Yeah.
24. Sorry. Shall I take the row?
Yeah,
or diagonally? Or column? Or?
top row.
Top row, okay, okay.
24
24, 7, 6, yes. 1988. What's the sum here? Yeah, you can calculate it. 30, 49.
Plus, what was the last number?
137.
137. Yeah, I agree.
137. So the total sum here will be 137. 24, 23. No, 24, 25. Yeah, can you check? First, 137. Correct? And here? Actually,
I looked at the bottom row, 137, correct.
yeah, diagonally, actually 36 combination. Attractive combination means, for example, can you see this here? Close. We can have this here. And also these four. And here. These are the common, and then I have some other more interesting. I have these, I call it the staircase of the temple, interesting name, so, and this, and this, and then the double rainbow, the reflection of the rainbow, this, you can see it here. This, and the opposite, this, and yeah, these are the attractive things, and then some not that interesting, but here I call it the torch holder. You can see from the Ivanhoe. When they put the torch. So it's here and this. And also symmetric and here. And there are more. But 36, good combination, always. And this include all numbers from minus 1 billion to plus 1 billion, if you wish. I did this in a school with tough guys. And I say, any card, any number. The first guy said 666, that was okay. And the next one, the genius, he said, yeah, minus 25.25. That was okay. But the third said, square root of pi. But that was still okay, because you do parenthesis and plus 1. And then the last one said, infinity. Right? Then it was, I had to cheat a little. Yeah. I did a parenthesis, you say parenthesis? Plus 4 and did something. So, but it was not so good. But this, you can always find 36 combination. But many times, 60 actually. So, if we say we take the first here, we add this. He was born the 21st of June, right? 24 and 6, that means 30. 30, can I have the... Did I put it here? Yeah, here, sorry, my fault. So here is the 61. Ah, good. What was it? 24 and 6, right? 24 plus 6, 30. This is, I can say, the lucky number. And here I do 60 combination. Combination. Here we have all of the other one, but also the peacock, for example, very interesting. This and this, 30, correct? Yes? Correct. And this, the same. This. Correct? This. And this. I like this symmetric thing. And also, you have the rainbow also from this side now. This. 30. And this. You can see them here. And opposite, this. You agree? Yeah. And also the staircase temple here. I like these romantic names. So. And there are more. The crotch from that side too. Not normally, but because I have not done this, I let 4 person give all the numbers, three digits. How many minutes left? Okay, too short. So 4 person, and they say 3 digits, and no, 4 digits each in a sequence. And I do the square from that. Yeah, the difficult thing is to get humor in it, because. Yeah, because, I mean, this is a little show-off. Look at my skillness. That's not a good attitude. So I say, especially a long time ago when I had the big glasses because I've done a cataract operation. So, and that time I looked more like a savant. So I said, no. I'm not a savant. All my relatives are. And I was when I was young, but, you know, during the happy days in the 60s with too much... Kundalini, trance, smoke and mushroom and acid and these things. I lost the talents. But now and then I have some flashbacks. And to get a more... I don't think I have more time. There are basically 2 big... I call this the feminine version, organic. The other one is... Arbeitssteuer, which is very interesting, and I should like to talk about him too. And Ivan Moskovich, a guy from from Gathering for Gardner, has done a great research on Arbeitssteuer. 1514 published the first time, and okay. Also another kind of geometric. I write it very quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's correct. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And no, 12, 13, must be wrong. 14, 15, 12. I did a mistake. It should be 4. 2 ones. Yeah. 9, no 10. The last. Okay, I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You see the symmetric? 13, 14, 15, 16. And this was published, he did not a drawing, print, 1514. And if you translate this to the alphabet, then the first 16 letters, you have A, Albrecht, and D here, Albrecht Dürer, M, Melancholia, A-N-O actually, Anno Domini, I don't know, M, and some more mystical things in that. But that was one group. The other one is the thing I've seen, I've solved, and every time when a new book has appeared on Magic Square, I've been, now they have it. But not yet. But Louis de Matos gave me a bunch of these books, newly published on Magic Square. And very quick, oh, do they have it? Oh, no. But very close. And not these books, but there are other guy who has written lots about it. And here, Arthur Benjamin, very good, Marty Gardner, Harry Lorraine also wrote about it, but they have some, I call this the 4 beaks solution. Anyone can do it. No memorization and no calculating. It's just to jump to a roller coaster and follow. It's incredibly easy. So therefore, I don't understand why this, and I can be sure that this has not been discovered, because if everyone should do it, it's so easy.
Yeah.
I think it's enough now. Any question? Thank you, thank you. Next time I do it. Thank you.
Leonard Green. Leonard. Yeah? You have more?
Shall I do more?
Yeah. You have a little.
Okay, come. Eva. I shake my mind.
Back, Eva.
Do I have more?
Yeah, more paper, yeah. Not much more time, but more paper. Yes.
Okay.
You want to explain everything in 1 minute?
Yes. Can you draw a square?
What? That I can.
Perfect.
Yeah. Only one?
What time is it now? 6?
I do that?
Excellent.
Okay.
So, 6. We
6.
Plus 6, because it's 6 time now, right?
Yeah.
6 o'clock. Draw one die, and we take these. This. And this. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. 4. Start here. And next. Yeah. 1. 2. Maybe you can take, okay. Take two dice. Yeah, again, yeah. It's better. 3 and 1, 4, okay.
But there is 4 there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because and here I don't go plus and minus, because normally it's a balance between plus and minus and so on. But here I only go plus. First, what is it? 10, 11. 11 plus 6.
11 plus 6.
17, right?
Yeah.
17 will be the sum. Yes, hopefully. I'm not sure. Yes.
You mean that's the explanation? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm finished now. 2, 3, So this is 36 on 17. I hope so, right? 10, yes. Now you can calculate in your... Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, but yeah. But that's the explanation?
No, I did it. It takes 3 hours at least.
It takes 3 hours. So you come next year?
Yes.
Okay, and we have everything.
No, we find, you buy the DVD.
Yeah, okay, so you are going to do a DVD about
so,
that
yeah.
and to write everything with the details?
Of course.
But you say the first idea is very simple. Everybody can do it with no memorization,
right.
nothing?
Normal IQ.
Normal? Oh, so you mean it's not for me?
No. Actually,
So
I
sorry.
think any 10 years old.
Okay.
9 years, 8.
Okay, so in 2 or 3 years it will be good for me. Okay,
Yeah.
big applause. Leonard
Thank you.
Drain.
Thank you.
My God, oh la 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 la. He's a crazy scientist, you know, and so, well, it's a good translation because I love this man. I've not followed one word, but I will have to buy the DVD, I'm sure. Yeah, I will do that, I will do that. So now we switch to another crazy man. You know him for his 4 legs and his 2 arms or whatever. I don't know the rest of his body. But he's really crazy. He has only one big heart. This is for sure. With you now, Rudy Cubby.
All right. Hello, EMC. I'm very proud to be here. It's fantastic. EMC is a combination of incredible sleight of hand and fantastic visual illusions, futurism. And there's only one person I wish he was still here because I think he would be the ultimate performer at EMC, and that is the original mad scientist, Jerry Andrus. Fantastic man. Yes, let's hear it for Jerry Andrus. He was a true mad scientist and maybe responsible for the 2 biggest nuts here at EMC, not me and Gayton, these 2 big nuts right here, or as normal people, it looks like a pair of crazy nuts, but in Jerry Andrus's world, it was just an impossible, mind-warping, just a couple pieces of cardboard painted in the right way. He was a genius. So I'd like to show you my favorite Jerry Andrus effect. He actually let me do this 20 years ago on my TV show. This is the Hypnotron 2000. Now, the people at home may not be able to experience this if they're watching at home on the chat. You need to make your chat window really big and come really close to your television. It's really cool. But the people on the DVD, they'll love this. Hypnotron 2000, you'll experience amazing visual illusions. I'll turn it on in just a second. Now, this is a flat photograph. Which camera are we looking at? This one? This one. This one, right here. Coming really close, just a flat photograph, coming really close. And in a second, I'll start the Hypnotron, coming even closer. And we start the Hypnotron, go to the video of the Hypnotron, and the Hypno wheel, yes. So watch really close for the next 20 seconds, because what's going to happen is you're going to see something amazing. Don't throw up, don't look away, stare at the center of the wheel. When I tell you to, I want you to look at the photograph of the clouds, keep staring at the center of the wheel, and we're going to cut to the cloud photo. Okay, look at the photo of the clouds. They actually look like they're boiling. You can pull out to show it's actually just a flat photograph, not a Marco Tempest flat screen. And there may be some residual effects, but don't worry about that. They only last a few days. Thank you. And whoa, I'm feeling a little lightheaded. And this time we're going to do it one more time. But I want you to, we're not going to use the photograph. So we're going to cut back to the Hypno wheel, cut back to the Hypno wheel, and we're going to show it for 20 seconds. Yes. So watch very closely. The center of the screen. Do not throw up. Don't look away. I promise it will be worth it. Cool. Look. Perfect. And when I tell you to, I want you to look at the back of your own hand. Okay, look at the back of your own hand. Amazing. It actually looks like the skin is moving on the back of your hand. Thank you, Jerry Andrus, the original mad scientist, the spirit of EMC, the Salvador of magic, and thank you so much. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Gaetan.
Thank you. Rudy Cubby. Rudy Cubby. Oh, my God. I love that. I love that. Oh. And Jerry Andrews really belong also in his mind to EMC because he's such a genius guy. And, you know, we're all friends there. And I can't tell you how happy I am to introduce this friend because since I've been to America, he has made so many things for me. He has been always helpful. I call him Uncle Max. This man is a kind of God by himself. My very dear friend, Max Maven.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. God or uncle, make your mind up. The sign behind me says thoughts on mentalism based around a single idea, mentalism in principle. That was the holding title I gave to David Britland some weeks ago when I didn't know what I was going to be talking about. Today I sort of know what I'm going to be talking about, so the title doesn't count. I'm going to talk to you about a very simple theory and then give you a practical application which will hopefully then open some doorways to some future ideas of your own. The theory is what I came up with 40 years ago, and I called it the straight line theory. And it is simply this. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I'm informed that in some branches of higher physics that's actually not true, but in the world that I understand, that is the case. And it therefore sort of stands to reason that the shortest distance of action between 2 points of action is a straight line of action. You still with me? Now, it seems to me that therefore that is the logical path of action. Nobody willfully deviates from a straight line of action unless there's a reason. Now, there might be a very good reason. You might deviate from the line to avoid falling into a hole, quite literally. You might want to take the scenic route. But generally speaking in magic, when we deviate from a straight line of action, we are violating what is the most logical way to go about something and informing the audience something's up. We're not doing what would be a normal thing to do. And I want to apply this today specifically to the selection of a playing card. And more specifically that of forcing a card on a spectator when it's not in proximity, when it's not close up. Because forcing a card on someone in an audience who is 10 feet away or 20 feet away, that's a bit more challenging to do in a way that is convincing. If you think about it, there are only really 3 different ways to have a card selected that are straight line ways. One is a card is removed from the deck. Most often it is spread between the hands or it is spread on the table and a card is pulled out. And that is an absolutely straight line way of doing it. And in fact, that's the way most real selections of cards are done in our routines. And in fact, it is also the way that many of our forces are done. The classic force, the Hofsens are under the spread force, and all sorts of variations are meant to simulate that. The second way is to cut the deck. In other words, you break the deck open at some point and a card is looked at. And that is, again, a straight line of doing it. That includes things like peeking at a card, because that's essentially cutting open the deck. And that's the second straight line way, and we have many ways of forcing based on that. The Max Holden's crossing the cut, for example. And then the third way is to have a card simply named. And there are many ways to do that, both for real and in ways that you steer the spectator toward a desired goal. Here I'm going to teach you some work on a force that doesn't fit any of those 3 categories. It is not a straight line force, and yet we're going to make it straight line. The force I want to talk about is the Hindu shuffle force. This is something that has been around for quite a long time. The earliest print reference of which I'm aware is from 1593 in a publication from Prague written by someone known only as R.P. Bill, you would probably know more about this than I do. The Hindu shuffle, so named, is actually the way cards are shuffled in most of Asia both that far back and now. It's normally done from a grip sort of like this, so it's sort of, by Western terms, an overhand shuffle done longitudinally. And it's not that hard to do, but it feels awkward to most of Western people. But for Asians, if you hand a deck to someone from China or pretty much anywhere in Asia, that's how they will shuffle the deck. It moved to the United States back in the 1920s, and it began to be disseminated in the 1930s. Gene Hugard, who'd seen it in Australia, is the one who, in the US, gave it the name of the Hindu shuffle because he'd been shown it by a man from India, although there's every reason to indicate that the man was actually not Hindu, but that's another conversation. So the Hindu shuffle force is simply taking advantage of the fact that it's hard to follow the topology of what happens during a Hindu shuffle, and I'll do it in the Western grip, which is this. A Hindu shuffle is that you're taking off small groups of cards from the top of the deck. And what that means, quite clearly, is that the bottom card of the deck is never changing. All right? So if the force card, which we'll use the 5 of spades, if the force card is on the bottom to start with, then when you start this process, and if it's done from an angle like this, not from the side, then it's not totally clear where the cards are coming from, where the cards are changing, and for that reason, when you then have the spectator say stop, and it is then shown to them, they assume it came from somewhere in the middle. Very practical force, but it's not a straight line force. Why are you doing this, what for Westerners is a very odd shuffle? So we create reasons for this. We create reasons to justify that it's not a straight line, and at the same time we add a little idea based on the philosophy of Pascal. So if it's worked for 500 years, it should work this afternoon. Peter, you're going to pick the 5 of spades, just trust me on this. So Peter, what I'd like for you to do, just to reach out and touch a card. Okay, that's not going to work. All right, from there. So it's okay. We'll do it this way. I'll mix the cards, and when you have the inclination, all you have to do is to call stop. All right? And then I'll show you the card you stop on, but I won't look at it. And so that'll make it fair for everyone. Okay? So are we clear on the procedure? I'll shuffle, you call stop, I'll turn away when you look. That way, I can't even see it on the screen. Ready? Here we go. Please remember the card. And you've got the 5 of spades. So what's going on here? The first thing is I'm justifying this procedure. The idea is, and when I do this in a more theatrical layout, I'll pick someone who's in the 3rd or 4th row, so that they're almost close enough to reach over the people in front of them and pick a card. But it's a bit awkward. Here I made use of these chairs. But I will start as if I intend to have them pick a card in the most obvious straight line way. I spread, you pick, we're done. And then I realize, oh wait, this is going to be awkward. Usually in a theater kind of thing, the person starts to get up and it's going to be awkward. We can see that they're going to be trying to reach over other spectators. It's going to be a bad scene. So I react as if to say, oh, bad planning on my part. Okay, we'll do it a different way. And that now justifies why I'm doing this shuffling action. I would do it the straight line way, but physical circumstances have prevented me. And so let me come up with a solution. Oh, this will work. And now I'm giving a context to this manner of selection. While I'm doing it, I also make the point of showing you some false information, of showing you that apparently when I do the Hindu shuffling action, the card on the bottom of the right-hand stock changes. Now, this takes advantage of the fact that we don't actually follow the topology, and we don't know where the cards are during the shuffle. And all I'm really doing here, and I'll go back to a side view, all I'm really doing here is milking off cards from the top and the bottom. So that makes the bottom card different. And I pull off a couple of legit groups, and then I do another milking action, and now the card is different again. And I can keep doing this, showing different cards, but I'm not doing it and saying, Peter, can you see that every time I shuffle the cards, the card on the bottom of this section changes? Because if I say that, you're going to say, does it really? Because I'm the magician, and you're going to be suspicious, and you're going to wonder, let me think about that. Does that actually work? So instead, I go back to the philosopher Pascal, who said, and this is a loose quote because I'm actually doing an English rendition of 500-year-old French, but Pascal said, when a person teaches something to himself, the impact of that learning is far greater than if it is taught to him. And these words have a profound value in putting together magic. In other words, I'm not trying to tell you that the bottom card changes. Rather, you as intelligent human beings can see that the card changes. You inform yourself, because I don't call attention to it. I'm apparently doing this just to explain the procedure. I'll show it to you and I won't look. I'm going to run and you say stop whenever you want and we'll use the card you stop me on. You can then draw your own conclusion. Okay, I get it. This slightly odd shuffling system, which he's doing for a reason, also is a situation that changes the condition of the card that winds up on the bottom of the right-hand stock each time. And the impact is so much stronger this way than if I tried somehow to convince you that it changes at every moment. So using the Pascal idea combined with this straight line justification, in other words, a non-straight line procedure that exists apparently for a reason, put it all together and you get a version of the Hindu shuffle force, which I can tell you, since I've been using this since the 1970s, is effective, it is convincing, and it is very practical. And I hope you will try that out and find out for yourself. I'm done.
Wow. You always impress me. I love you.
And wow, see.
Okay, we have more good news. Well, you know that earlier we had so terrible problems, and I want really a big applause for all these people you don't see behind, but they fight like hell to solve all these problems, and they did. Wow. And so apparently many people couldn't just saw David Berglas, and so it's such a pity because it's wow, something really to enjoy. So after the session, at the end of the normal session, don't worry, stay tuned because David accepted generously just to share again. And now everybody will be able to see what he has to show us. Thank you, David. Now, this man is famous under the name of Silly Billy. Yes, yes. And also has a current, how you say that, article, whatever, column in magic for 10 years. And also he wrote a very good book, a very important book on children magic. There is not a lot about this subject. And what he wrote is a really mature book, and it's called Seriously Silly. So now, directly from New York, Mr. David K.
Thank you, Gaetan. Thank you. So, I want to thank the EMC for inviting me to be part of this great conference, and especially for including children's magic in the schedule. You know, the chat logs were very positive yesterday, and I want to thank everyone. But I knew my talk was successful when afterwards, Lamont came up and asked me to show him my work on the drooping flower. Right. Should I wait? What should I do? Which one I'm wearing? Oh. Oh, really? It's fault. Just going to say, because... you know what? I'm going to do the joke over. I knew it was a successful talk when René Levin came up to me afterwards and asked me to show him my work on the drooping flower. Now that's more like it. Thank you, people. Gotta act like you know comedy when you see it. Well, let's be honest. Kid show magic has a reputation of being, well, just not as important as other kinds of magic. I know there are some pretty bad kid show performers out there. They say inappropriate things. They do bad magic. They don't understand children. But come on. Aren't there also bad close-up magicians and bad stage magicians too? I'm very glad that kid shows are being included here at EMC this year. But I thought I would make one last pitch in support of children's magic. I want to dispel some myths about performing magic for kids. Myth number one, no one I know does kid shows. Well, not true. There are more kid shows performed each week than any other category of magic. Whether it's birthday parties, schools, libraries, daycare centers, kid shows account for the majority of all the magic shows performed each year. There are more kid show magicians out there actually performing for paying audiences than there are for close-up and stage magicians. In other words, there are more rabbits produced each week than tigers. Plus, our audiences are larger. More children see magic shows each week than adults do. Myth number two, it's easy to perform magic for children. Well, as I said yesterday, the barriers to entry to doing kid shows are very low. Anyone can go to the magic shop, buy the props, and do a show the next day. So yes, you're going to have bad performers. Close-up magicians must put in hours and hours of practice to achieve technical perfection. And all we have to do is flip through the pages of a coloring book. But aren't there other forms of magic that are also simple to perform technically? How hard is it to push a tube through a cube zag? When a beautiful girl changes into a tiger, the magician isn't even involved. It's the assistant in the box who does all the work. And mentalism can also be easy to perform technically. Isn't it fairly simple to read a message on a board, on a pad of paper? But it takes more than technical skill to be a magician. The stage magician must be graceful and elegant. He or she needs to have professional choreography, costumes, music, blocking, lighting. A mentalist must be a great actor, creating drama and mystery. And likewise, though technically simple, performing children's magic requires more than simply owning the props. You have to understand children, including their intellectual and physical limitations. You have to understand them psychologically. What makes them laugh? How do you hold their attention? And you need superior audience management skills. There may even be some aspects of performing magic for children that are harder than performing magic for adults. In fact, an audience of children might be the most difficult audience to perform for. An audience of adults will sit and clap politely during a mediocre magic show. You may have seen this at your last local magic club meeting. Children watching a boring kid show magician will get up and leave the room the first chance they get. Adults don't yell out their own explanations for how tricks are done like the kids do. When was the last time you heard someone in the close-up room at the Magic Castle yell, "It's in his lap"? If a bad kid show magician loses control of his audience, there could be chaos. But you've never seen an adult audience member run up on the stage during a sub-trunk performance and yelling, "He's coming out of the top." So myth number three, of all the different kinds of magic, kid shows are the least important. Not true. Kids' magic is very important to the art of magic. If you ask a professional magician what event triggered his interest in magic, you'll hear one of two answers. Either it was when he received a magic set as a gift, or when they saw a magic show as a child. Do you remember the first magic show you ever saw when you were a child? Do you remember what kind of impact it had on you? I do. If you hadn't seen a magician perform a kid's magic show when you were a child, you might not be a magician today. There is a big responsibility. Children all over the world are seeing their first magician at a kid show. It might be a birthday party, it could be a school or a park. The potential for sparking a child's interest in magic is present at every show that we do. And kid show magicians are having that impact on thousands of children every day. David Blaine, Cyril Takayama, and Lu Qian TV specials grab the 14-year-olds. But kids' magic can interest children in magic way before that. And lastly, myth number 4. Doing kid shows is a waste of time and it won't help my TV career. I get it. You want to have your own TV special. I get it. So doing kid shows doesn't help that goal, right? Well, not true. If you perform shows for children, you can practice many skills that you need when you perform magic shows for adults. Skills like stage presence, routining, holding the audience's attention, and audience management. You can even practice your manipulation act. Quite simply, doing shows for kids makes you a better magician for adults. I know a lot of you hate bad kid show magic, but you know what? I hate bad kid show magic more than you. I have dedicated my life to raising the level of kid shows wherever in the world they are performed. I want kid show magic to get better. And the answer, maybe, is that we kid show magicians have to earn that respect. The burden is not on the magicians who disparage kid shows. The burden is on us to prove that we deserve their respect. So one final plea to all the kid show magicians out there. Let this be our goal. Let's take our magic more seriously, do better shows, and show the rest of the magic community that we, like myself here at EMC, are worthy of joining the others at the magic table. Thanks.
David K. Okay, and now we go to a panel discussion, and I'm sure this one will really interest you a lot. It interests me a lot anyway. It's a panel about magic digital future. And for this panel, we have Dan and Dave, we have Marco Tempest, Jonathan Baim, and Monsieur Paul Daniels. Moderated by Stan Allen. That's him.
Thank you, Gaten. Well, we all know the internet has changed how we do business. We all know that the world is constantly changing through the internet, faster and faster and faster. And I'm looking forward to this conversation today, personally, because I don't get it all. I have a magazine, I have a convention, we promote on the internet, but I'm still a novice at all of this. And at my age, I'm not sure I'm ever going to get it all. That's why I want to talk to some of these guys and find out exactly what's going on out there. To begin, I'm going to ask each one quickly to just give us their impressions of how the internet has changed the magic world in better, how it has improved it a little bit. And to do this, we're going to talk first with Dave. Dave Buck?
Well, I think making it available and so readily available has allowed magic to develop at a very rapid pace. Just seeing what is possible instantly. You know, when I was growing up, I had to read things in books or watch videos. Now I'm exposed to so much information, I know what's possible, and I can just go way, way beyond that. And that's what we're seeing these young kids doing. You know, there's 12-year-olds who can do an anti-pharaoh. I've been working on the anti-pharaoh since I was, 13, and I still can't get it in.
Last year.
They have it down.
Like, how many years ago was that? No.
But you get the idea.
I do,
It's unbelievable, and I think, we're just going to see it increase and develop exponentially as we go on and on.
So it's the access of information, mass amount of information.
Mm-hmm. And just seeing what's possible, being exposed to, all these slides that before, you only heard about, and now you can see them, and they're possible, and therefore you're much more likely to be able to execute them yourself.
All righty. Dan.
Well, since you took up all the time.
No, take your time. Come on. Does that happen a lot?
No, it's fine. No, I'm like Dave. I'm going to go, against the grain of the argument and say that exposure on the internet is a good thing. It's good that it's being exposed because that's how we learned. I mean, that's how all these kids are learning. It's that draws them into the more professional industries, like the websites that actually teach it and care about the art form.
Thanks. Jonathan.
I like what both of them have said. I agree with Dave about the instant accessibility of information. People are trained now, especially young people, that they can know anything as long as they go to Google and type in what is this, what is the secret to the universe. I mean, you can learn anything in Google with a few keystrokes, but my main emphasis would be about collaboration, which is kind of what I was referring to in my talk on Thursday, that I didn't have any magicians growing up nearby me, so today the youth of magic having such community online where they can ask questions, share advice, post a video of themselves, and get feedback from very seasoned magicians, and obviously some not very seasoned at all, is new, and it promotes this vibe of collaboration and community that I would have loved when I was really young.
So you can be brainstorming with the entire world.
Yeah, I mean, it was a treat for me whenever I was able to go to a real magic shop when I was younger, because there was no one nearby me. So if I had these forums when I was super young, when just starting in magic, it would have, I think, exponentially increased my speed of development.
Thank you. Marco, how's the internet made magic better?
Internet is an extreme driver of change in all of entertainment, like record companies, TV stations, book publishers, and so I think in magic it's the same. It enables us access to information. It's very communal. We can communicate with one another. Secrets are no longer secrets. So it creates a little bit of a chaos and it provokes change, and I think that's a really good thing. I think it's very hard to predict what's coming up even in the immediate future, but there's going to be new models of promoting yourself, of reaching audiences, large audiences, financing that. You can sell one-on-one, you can be pre-sponsored or pre-bought by an advertiser. So there's so many opportunities. So I think the internet essentially will change magic more drastically than we can imagine right now.
And over again.
And over again.
Mr. Daniels, Paul.
Yeah, right. Having been involved in computing and all that jazz from the beginning, I just think that it has one major flaw.
And what's that?
And that is the freedom of information is not being dispensed or whatever by the good guys. And what's happening is, when I was growing up, and of course that didn't exist, we had electricity, but you looked in a book, you read the book, and you had to figure it out, and it became you. You saw yourself doing the magic. Now what's happening is there's all these schmoes out there who are showing you how to do this fancy move. Lovely, I like that, but they're doing it exactly the same as him, and him, and him, and him. And what we're getting is cloned magic and not innovative magic. It's like X Factor is not promoting songwriting, it's promoting clones. And so for me, that's what the internet has a major problem. It has one good thing. It makes me look bloody great.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you asked.
Well, I'm not even sure that's what I asked, was it? That's how the internet makes the magic world better. I'm afraid of my next question of how has the internet changed the magic world for worse, so I'm going to skip over that for the time being.
No.
All right, so I'm a magician. All right, I have a product, my act, my career. All righty? Maybe we can offer some suggestions. How can I use the internet today to sell my act, to better my act, and to sell it onto the public? Who wants to jump on that?
Okay, it's great for marketing. It's fabulous for marketing. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, every social site I can get on, and I sell my product through that. I also give advice through that. So I'm speaking a bit against myself. But I do tell them, to read books. And I actually tell them not to join magic clubs because they will become cloned again. So it's a fabulous marketing tool. And guys like this are making it interesting.
All right, but I want to get to some specifics with that tool for people at home.
It's a great learning tool. I mean, there's hundreds of kids that post work-in-progress videos, and they get feedback. And they take that feedback and they post another video, and they get feedback from that video. So
where do they do that? Where do they post that?
Just on YouTube.
Just on YouTube,
yeah.
To the world. They're not.
Yeah.
It's not a closed community they're posting to.
It can be. It definitely can be.
Sometimes it is.
And sometimes it is. There's filters that can allow that. But yeah.
Is that like a private video?
Yeah.
You can privately share a video, or you can post it to the public. Usually they post it to the public, but there are private forums that.
And people offer criticism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
is it brutal?
Dan and I get hundreds of videos, and that's why we gave our talk today on what we gave it about, because they need to know that information, unfortunately. But they're very young. They have no knowledge of magic. They've never read a book. They only know what they've seen. So it's our responsibility to sort of guide them, and they're only knowing what they learned from other videos.
All right, so that's a way of improving your act, basically showcasing your act, getting feedback, and doing it again and again. All right, but let's say we have the act now. I have a show. I'd like to use I'd like to sell more shows, basically, make some more money.
Then,
Jonathan, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know one example. Steve Cohen, I mentioned yesterday, a friend of mine is in New York, and I remember he telling me vaguely, I don't remember the exact story, but he had used a website that reaches a lot of traveling people in New York City. I think it was like Daily Candy or something. And he tried it just to send a broadcast out to them, letting them know about his show as a marketing channel. And I know he had great success from that and booked several months of shows off of this one feature. So it's just an example of embracing the internet, and it's another broadcast network. If you're a performer, you want to get on TV, you want to get on the radio, you want to get on Twitter, Facebook, in every possible medium to shout from the mountaintop that you exist, and here's my act, and I want everyone in the world to see it.
Yeah, we've been featured on several TV shows and movies because of the videos they've seen of us.
They find you online.
Online. And we take those, when we post those videos, we take those and literally send them to every blog. It's every design, technology blog.
Anyone we think who would be interested in what we do, we send our videos.
Not all of them are going to put it on their site, but 1% might.
You should expose
so you send your video out, and they
just want to expose yourself to as many different markets as possible, because you have no idea. We were approached by a clothing company to do a commercial for them, and that opened up a bunch of doors for us, and it allowed people who never even knew this flourishing stuff existed before to see it for the first time. So it's important to look way outside of our niche of performance and explore all these different other markets.
Marco.
I also think that you shouldn't just look at the internet like another glossy brochure where you can put your content in. It's much more contextual. It's about your audiences and how you reach your audiences and how you bind them to you. Like if you have a YouTube channel which is popular and you have videos you post, like for example, when I post a video, I typically have something in it like, this is something I'm working on, or what are you guys thinking about this? I open up a discussion. So my content is not really anymore just the glossy brochure. It's a conversation starter. And I can interact with my audiences, and I can bring my audiences to with me to other opportunities. So let's say a TV station is interested in doing a TV show with you or having you on a TV show. You can say, hey, by the way, I have X amount of people which follow me on YouTube, or I have that many people on Twitter, and they communicate actively to me. They might help me finance my next show or show up at my next gig. So you have this like active network of audiences which give you feedback, and so you know what they like and what they don't like, and they're in an ideal scenario, they might make videos about you, and they try to be like you. And so it's much more than just a glossy brochure. It's really a way to interact and to collaborate almost with your audiences.
Now, are these videos, like I've seen your stuff out there, and it doesn't seem to have any commercial message whatsoever. It doesn't seem to say, come to my site, buy me, hire me. It's just out there. Does that pay off?
Exactly, and I think that's really important. When you put stuff on the internet, it's, yes, you can immediately monetize. Like if you have some cool videos, you can ask YouTube to become a YouTube partner and put ads up. I'm a YouTube partner since like day one, and I never put ads up because it might alienate my viewers. The videos don't look good with ads. Typically from good stuff and large audiences, other opportunities will arise. You might get booked for a gig, or a local TV station wants to do an interview with you which will lead to a gig, or somebody writes a book about magic and would like to include you. So there's all these other things which will lead to commercial opportunities. If you go the immediate road, like this is to book a gig, and and if you want to see more, you have to pay for it, or sometimes that's not the most effective. Sometimes you just have to let it flow and see where it leads before you start.
So you just put it out there, you don't commercialize it, and they connect the dots.
They connect the dots and then be open to what they want to do.
Is that what happened with like the clothing commercial and stuff? You're not putting it out there saying hire us.
We didn't expect it at all, and the same thing for we did the opening title sequence for Lazy Town, a whole season of Lazy Town, and they found our videos online. The same thing for the original Samsung phone commercial. It wasn't our video they found, but they found another flourishing video, and it inspired them to use phones to do flourishes for the commercial. So it's just when a video becomes viral, so many people see it, and that inspires all these different creative people to do different things with it.
How important is originality? Doing something.
Well, that's going to.
Is that everything?
I think absolutely. I mean, that's what determines how these videos go viral. It's something you've never seen before. It's so crazy, so off the wall, so different. You want to send it to your friend.
When you say go viral, how fast are we talking here?
Well, I mean, I've never had a video go viral in the extent of like millions, but in our market, they can, and it happens, you know, almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
It's immediate, yeah. Because I mean, if you think, I email a video to a friend, he gets his message on his phone instantly, you know, he sends it to another friend or tweets it, which goes out to, you know, we have 3,000 followers, you know, they tweet it, you know, pretty soon it's gone out to 1 million people. I don't think that's the case with us, but that happens with people, and before you know it, it's tens of millions, hundreds of millions in a matter of, you know, days.
Or Luchan and a billion.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary numbers.
Yeah, no, it is scary, just seeing like the ripple effects of you putting something out there. That's the scary part of it. Like you put something out there that you think is good and you hope is good, but you don't know how people are going to react until you post it. Like I'm sure anyone on this panel, you post a video of something that you think is cool and you think some people will like, and you might be pleasantly surprised that a lot more people than you thought would get something out of that. And sometimes the inverse, that you think something's awesome and then...
There's definitely no technique to creating a viral video, just something that happens.
There's something I've done just recently that might be of interest to the lads and that, is that anybody posts a video anywhere on the internet, whether it's Vimeo or any of them, it automatically is on my website. And so if they're watching it, they can be led back to my website. And that's part of marketing. But what worries me when we're talking about the digital age of magic, the future of magic, what worries me more, none of this, I mean, this all works, we know this works, but what worries me is the future of magic. Because 20 years ago, I saw Donald Duck standing there on a hologram TV. And at that moment, and 10 years after that, at that moment, I thought, wow, how are they ever going to know that's a real girl? You know, when she vanishes. He knows, about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I had a gadget in my office. It came up on a scan screen. I signed it, and downstairs, a machine didn't print my signature. It wrote it. And at that moment, I thought, wow. Mentalism pads, you liar. Listen, mentalism pads, you know, my postman, I signed for something. It's across the other side of the world. The best use for me at thinking about the future of digital magic is what Max did. You do something that the internet could not know, and it turns up and it stays magical. But magic on TV now is going to be damn difficult in the future, with everything is capable in the digital world of being created, vanished, floated, do what you like with it. And let's face it, it's being used by magic shows now to bring about illusions that they really couldn't do in front of an audience. That's my worry.
I mean, I agree with what you said in some parts, but I remember having, before I was formulating my presentation here, I had this great discussion with David Britland, and he was mentioning how magic's always been dying. The magic books in libraries were going to be the death of magic. VHS tapes were going to be the death of magic. DVDs were going to be the death of magic. And the internet's going to be the death of magic. Magic's always found some way to evolve, or have some guys like him.
I didn't say it was going to die.
Right,
I said we've really got to be aware of the digital age.
It's something that could be embraced and as a good thing, not as a negative. Television is an example.
I think also it has a lot to do with the individual performer and how he communicates with his audiences. I think Oprah Winfrey is a very good example. She was like the #1 trust brand on TV. People just trusted her. Like, you know, there's some magicians on TV and the audiences generally don't trust them. But if they get close enough and they know who you are kind of on your channel or on your website or this or that, or like if this is your goal, that you're genuine or that you're believable, that your plots are believable, and I think that even in a time where anything is possible, technological, you can become that, you know, that magician which they just trust, that is not going to cheat in a way which is not allowed.
I wish that was the case. But now I'm watching magic on TV, and because of all my experience, I'm well aware that Mrs. Smith in Manchester is not being fooled, because people are more knowledgeable than we give them credit for, and they're seeing guys cheating, and that affects the rest of us who are desperately not trying to cheat, and that's sad.
And that cheat thing is a line in the sand that once you stepped over it, you can't just take one step back.
No, some
now
guys
they don't trust you at all.
Way over it, yeah.
But he was saying about Miss Smith in Manchester. I like that YouTube, it's kind of like a theater audience, but they don't have to be quiet. So they're going to say whatever they think. So they're not saying anything that the people in your theater were not already thinking. They're just vocalizing it. So if you see a YouTube comment that says, oh, well, I think he's just using black art or he's a black cloth behind that, people in the theater were probably thinking the same thing. Just the people online they have anonymity and they have the comment box where they can actually say that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It is a bad thing when you see magicians posting on YouTube. YouTube's not the culprit. The magicians are that would go on YouTube and write something that is only meant for magicians, or should only be meant for magicians to see, like his double lift was bad in this video, or I could totally see his second deal, something like that. That's bad. That's just magicians being stupid.
I get that from magicians in the theater. They stand in the foyer in the interval and loudly show off that I must be a magician. I'll tell you what he did to their friend, So, internet
but
live,
basically,
it's the same.
So are you saying basically it's like the internet is a giant children's audience? They'll just yell out whatever you...
Yeah. In a way it is, and I think with that comes a new skill set. So if you want to expose yourself on a platform like that, and I don't think the internet is really a dangerous place where you're going to get penalized for anything you do. It's like if it's no good, nobody will even comment on it. It's like there's like, I don't know, 50 hours of video every minute posted to YouTube. So most likely it's going to stay invisible unless it's good. But if it's good, then you get a very good temperature reading on what you're doing, and you have a very good chance to win that audience over, even if they say, oh, your sleight of hand is not really good. If you can acknowledge that, you can say, yeah, you're probably right, I'm still working on this, and the next day you can post another video, and now you're in an episodic thing, and and you might win them over. And even if you just respond to them, like, you can bind to your audiences in new ways, and I guess it's just a new skill set.
I don't want to win them over, they're not buying tickets.
So are you saying, Marco, that basically this would raise the bar in magic because the audience is more...
I don't know if it raises the bar, but it makes it more fun. I mean, it's like, I love the idea that I can work on something, and the moment I want to show it, I can put it on video, I can put it out there, and I'm very fortunate. I started very early on YouTube. I have about 30 million views on my channel, so when I put up a video, I typically get the first 100,000 views or so, like for free almost, and I get about 100 or 200 comments right away. And that's a great way to figure out if you're onto something, or to say, oh, sorry guys, possibly take it down and work on it a little longer.
So you think the bar will be raised through the internet? You guys are in the teaching game. You think it already is?
People are jaded to things now, so you have to do something extraordinary. I think Marco's iPhone video, 4 weeks ago? That was a great example. It was something that no one had seen before. It was totally different. And it had some characteristic about it that made people want to share it. Multiple people sent it to me before it was even on blogs, before Marco sent it to me, and I saw it on non-magic related blogs of any sort. They just loved it as a cool, entertaining, well-done, well-produced idea that, Marco, you did and you filmed in a day. So, it forces you to take your game up to another level to make the video entertaining and shareable and captivating, and et cetera.
That, and you know how big your audience can be. It can reach billions. So
I'm going to go back, though. Oh, I'm sorry, you had one more? You want to throw in one more?
Yeah, if I can, I would love to talk a little bit about the communal aspects and some of the stuff which are... Am I taking?
We have a couple.
Because I mean, like, we're talking about the internet just being like this marketing medium, and how can you use it to make money with it? And I think what I'm really intrigued about is these merchants, or these like combined merchant communal sites where people can go and purchase stuff and learn stuff, and it's really well produced. And like I know you guys are in that business, and it's more than a business to me. It's like I'm very intrigued what's going on there and the kind of movement which comes out of that. And I would love to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing, if that's all right.
Okay, we have 2 minutes.
Oh.
Short answer, 2 minutes. I think it's an extension of my lack of having any magicians around me as a kid. So now I'm hypersensitive to that. So if I can find, if there's young kids that visit our site, I'm expecting them not to have any other magicians in contact. If they do have a mentor or a magic buddy or something, great, but I'm expecting them to have no one. So that means we have to provide that relationship. That means we have to do these podcasts for free. That means we have to make sure these artists are chiming in on the forums on our website as much as possible, doing interviews, doing everything we can to promote interaction and sharing of ideas and tips. It's a sort of thing that happens in a real magic store, but not behind the counter. It's the thing that happens in front of the counter at a magic store, where you're just jamming with your magic buddies and you're learning things and you're talking to people who are way smarter than you. And that's what I wish I had, and that's what I'm trying to give people on our website.
Dan, Dave, quick.
And for us, it's like a filter system. You know, we grew up doing card magic, and we're trying to find like the best magic available to present to these kids, and that's why we produce, you know, Helder Guimarães, Bill Goodwin. So, you know,
it's a responsibility.
It's our job to filter out like everything bad out there. There's so many videos, you know, 50 hours a minute. It's
interesting circle here that I think that magic shops have suffered, that didn't jump on the internet and have gone out of business. A lot of brick and mortar stores have been replaced by the clicks. And now it sounds like with sites through you, these merchandising sites, that you are becoming those magic shops offering that same service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wish we could get rid of this phrase about, is it going to raise the bar? Because I've heard it all my life. And all my life, there's always been a few really good guys, and you could not go above them at their time. In their time, they were the best. And what is happening now is really good. I see really good stuff. But it's not better. It's just the best of now. So we don't raise the bar on the internet. We just bring on more good guys for today. And that's it.
I would disagree. I think we've definitely raised the bar.
You are not better. You are not better. No, card flushers, you're not better than Cardini.
We're going to break away here. Dave, Dan, and Paul are going to go outside and settle this. But thanks to everybody. Back to you, Gayton.
Never mind outside.
Everything can happen. But it's so interesting that when everybody has the same advice and there is a lot of food for your soul. So I'm so happy for that. Now, back to Spain. But before to meet him personally, watch this. Nothing to say more. Danny D'Ortiz.
Excellent. Please, get on. Max, can you put a little close me? I try in English again, a little more. I try to do a special self-working trick. Why? Because now, after the trick, you can do that in your house. Yeah? For you, Greta, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 car, or 10 car, or 9 car. It's the, okay, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for you. You can count if you want. For you, Max, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 car, or 11 car. I don't care, okay? A group of car. This is for you, okay? Okay, and the rest for me. And this I don't use. And now, like this is a self-working trick, I need your help. First, you need to do exactly like me. Exactly like me, okay? If no, not possible because this is a self-working. Exactly like me. Shuffle. Okay? And cut. It's a self-working trick. Eh? You need to do exactly like me. Yes? Now, tell me a number. No height, because it's...
3.
3 is okay, okay? Put 3 cards on table. Like me, exactly like me, if not possible, okay? 3 cards more in together, okay? Now, maybe 2 cards on any piles. And the rest, you put in the other piles, on top or on the bottom, I don't care. Exactly like, no, okay. It's your life. Okay, it's good. Take any of both piles, any pile. Maybe this is my pile. Take anywhere. Okay, this is okay. For you, okay. Turn, face up the pile, and this is my card. This is 4 of clubs, your card is king of hearts, your card is 3 of a spade, your card is 2 of a spade, and your card is 10 of a spade, okay? Shit. Okay. Now, take the pile, okay, and put the pile on top of the other pile, okay? If you want, you can put on the bottom, but it's a stupid thing because the card then is on the bottom. But it's your life, okay? Again, another number, or maybe you, another number.
4.
4. Take 4 cards. This is a ritual, and put on the bottom. The next card on table. This is the ritual. 2 cards more, or how many? I don't care.
2 is good.
2 you put on the bottom. Now open and take the 3rd card and put in this part. Okay, and now this is the middle card on the top. Yes, okay. And now the 3rd you put in the 2nd position, and the 1st card you put on the table on top of the other card. Yes, exactly. Okay, and this card now you put on the bottom. Yes, and now the number 4. 4.
Okay.
4. 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want 4 or 5?
I like 5.
5. Okay. The 5 card you put in the 4 position, and this card you put on the bottom.
Which one's at the bottom?
I don't know. It's your life.
Okay.
Okay, good. You follow me. No, it's 2 cards. 2 cards. Where are you lost? No, the 2nd card you put on the bottom, and
I can't believe it.
no problem. The 3rd card, you like the 3rd?
Sure.
Or what number?
3.
3. You take 3 cards and put on the bottom. Okay. No shuffle, please. No shuffle. Split again. I take the 4th card and put on top. And this card you put on the bottom. You need to do exactly like me because that's a working trick, okay?
We're supposed to do the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. Now the 3rd card you put on top of the table. Now the 2 top cards you put on the bottom and you split again. Yeah, if you do exactly like me, you have 3 and 3, 6 cards, yes?
No, exactly.
Exactly 6, exactly 6. How many?
No, I have 7.
I have 7.
7? 7?
Yeah.
7. Okay, put 1 card. 1 card. Okay, now you have exactly like me, no? It's 3, 3 and 3, 6, and 1, 7, no? Is 7 like me? No, 6.
7.
Now I have 6.
I got 6.
Take 1.
Take 1.
Yeah, take the top card. You have a card? Put on table. Now the 2 top cards you put on the bottom, and the next card you put on the rest, okay? And now you split again, and the 2nd card you put on the 2nd from the bottom part, and now the middle card you put on top. The 3 top cards you put on the bottom, okay? Not possible to change the card. This is not possible. This is not possible, okay? The top card you put here, and the 2 top cards you put on the rest on the table, yes? And now the next 2 top cards you put... Oh, I forget. The top... you put here. Okay? And now the more important. The next card you put exactly at the 4th position. No. In the 2nd.
Second?
Yeah, why not? And the last card you put exactly, yes, you put this is in the 4th position. Or no?
Oh, no.
Or in the middle.
Yeah.
In the middle, okay? The trick is very good. It's self-working trick, very, very good. Square the pile, okay, square the pile, and take the pile in your hands, okay? Take the pile. Tell me another number, small number, or...
5.
5. Take 5 cards and put on table. The trick is very good. Self-working, but very good. And the rest to put on table, okay? And now the magic.
Maybe.
Yes, if you do exactly like me, now is the magic. Exactly like me.
You can change.
It's okay. What number you tell me? 5? 5. One. 2. 3. 4. This is the number 5. If you do exactly like me first. My car is 4 of clubs and I sing. Your car is, you remember your car, but you sing.
Face card.
Yes.
You remember your car?
3 of
You sing. You remember your car?
10 of spades.
10 of spades, you sang it. And you remember your car? You sang it. Yeah. Oh. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Self-working tree.
Danny Doughty!
Thank you.
Wow. Well, so, don't leave us, don't leave us. Now, I have the question. Now, the question, where are they? Yes, they are here, Oh, first question to Dan and Dave. Dan and Dave, you are with me? Yes. There is a lot of people we ask you, will you show us a performance? Can you do something?
We won't perform, but we'll show you something.
Yeah. Right here, or you want to go there?
Right here, I guess. Is that fine?
Yeah, it's okay.
Can you see?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll start.
Start.
You can come in closer to our hands.
Super. Thank you. Thank you so much. Another question for you. What kind of finger training do you advise?
We do a bunch of different hand exercises, and we also do this exercise, but we use a hand exerciser, one that exercises each individual finger, not the coil once you squeeze, but they're what musicians use and rock climbers. You can find them in sporting goods stores.
Okay, thank you. And last question, what is the greatest achievement in cardistry? The creation of an original flourish or something else?
Well, I think it all started with Kalush's cut, so...
Okay.
Bill Kalush's cut.
Great. Thank you, thank you. Mr. Kavney, where is Mr. Kavney? I don't see. Oh, my God. Which illusion from history would you like to perform?
That's a good, interesting question.
It is.
Actually, the illusions that I like to perform, I get to perform, even if it's only once, at the Magic History Conference. What we do is go through old books and magazines and find things that haven't been performed in a very long time. And if we can't find an old one, we'll build one and fool around with it. And what I said about learning about an illusion, really the only way to do it is to actually do it on stage, where you have to discover and solve every problem. The $1 Million Mystery was about as much fun as you can have. And I should say, when you see this, you know, I'm just operating this thing. It was all about the prop and the routine. So that was great. But we did, a couple of years ago, I performed Well I'm, which was Paul Valadon's Vanishing Lady, and we did the O-Chair one year, and Through the Eye of the Needle, the old original Selbit version, and all of those were great fun and great learning things.
The Blue Room, too? The Blue Room, too?
Oh, the Blue Room, yeah, unbelievable.
And I love your version of the Talking Hand.
Oh, yeah, the spirit wrapping hand is a great, great trick.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Leonard Green. Oh, Leonard Green. Leonard, when do you expect your DVD on the Magic Square to be available?
Ask Luis.
Luis de Matos. When the DVD will be available? I have to ask him.
I was just informed that there will be a DVD by Leonard Green on a Magic Square, but the moment I know, I will let the community know. But I'm very excited to do that.
Okay, that's a scoop. A scoop. Now, how do you adapt Magic Squares to make it an enjoyable show?
Yeah, that I don't know yet.
Yeah. Well, he knows, Tamaris knows, many people know. Yeah, but you will find, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, no problem. Rudy, we go to Rudy Kobe now. Rudy, how has your act changed over the past 20 years to target today's audience? Oh, that's a way.
No, I think I just do what I actually found entertaining when I was 9 years old. I don't try to change it for today's audiences. I think it's fantastic, like Marco was saying, that we can go online. It used to be that you had to attract television producers to get your stuff on TV, you know, and there was only 4 channels on in the United States. It was difficult, but now it's fantastic. You start your own YouTube channel and you have your own television production company.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Will you be touring overseas again soon?
I hope so. I think Paul Daniels is going to produce my touring show with his millions of dollars.
Well, this comes as a shock to me, like the Magic Squares came to Lewis, I'll tell you.
Yeah, but I hope so. I do TV shows all the time, like you know, doing the little sequences. But who knows? I hope so.
And the last question, Rudy, where can we get that head mask? Sorry, I discovered the question.
No, that's a good question. Maybe one day I'll release it, you know, because it's actually really fun. It's everybody.
So you mean it's something you just
it's something I made
you?
actually to make it look as gruesome as possible. Based it on one of my baby pictures, and but yeah, beautiful girls borrow it for Halloween, and it looks much better on them than me.
Okay, and now where is my Uncle Max? I don't know. Well,
he's over here.
Right there. So I have to turn. Dear Uncle, how many languages do you understand? And how many can you speak?
I'm working on real facility with English. I'm reasonably functional in speaking and understanding Japanese. I can understand a fair amount of the Romance languages, French, Spanish, and Italian, although I don't speak them very well because I don't summon up the words, but I understand them with a reasonable amount of comprehension, and I can get a small amount of meaning out of the Teutonic languages, so German and to some lesser degree Dutch.
But you spend a very not long time, but to learn Japanese, for instance, because you were in love in Japan. So every time you learn a language, it's because you are in love with the country.
I've been going to Japan for 30 years. I've been there about 50 times, so I've learned a lot about the language. It's not that difficult because millions of little children can speak it.
That's a good answer. Difficult. The last question. Max is dealing the card to a table until a spectator calls stop, a straight line method.
It's a very good question, and I think it is. I think it is essentially, when you deal through a deck until the spectator says stop, it is the same as cutting the deck, except slowed down ultra slow. So to me, as long as it's framed properly, having a spectator deal to choose a card can be within that straight line concept because it can be seen as just a very slow version of cutting.
Of course.
So the answer is yes, it is, in my estimation. Okay. Others could categorize differently.
I think that's a good answer. David K. Where are you, David? Oh, okay. So I have a question for you. How did you enter the field of kids magic for celebrities?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
How did you enter the field of kids magic for celebrities?
Oh, Actually, the way I got my celebrity clients is that I'm very well known in New York, and the children of celebrities go to school with normal children, and so the children see me at one birthday party. They go home to their mother, whether it's Susan Sarandon or Eddie Murphy, and they say, "I want to have Silly Billy at my party." So,
okay,
yeah.
Dan and Dave, another one. Did Sybil, I don't know, is it Sybil predate the illogical shuffle?
I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. Okay, and the last question to Mr. Kalush. Where is Bill? Yeah. Bill, okay. So, Bill, what are some of your thoughts about the way information and books will be available to magicians in the future?
Well, I think we're seeing the future now. I think that everything, not just a selected part, will all be digitally archived and searchable on some level. I think with what we're doing and with what a lot of other people are doing, I think that books will be read in forms, iPads, devices like iPads. I think we'll still have beautiful books printed. I just think the market will be smaller. There'll be those people that want the object, and then those people that just want the information, and they'll both coexist. But the printed books, I think, will be a smaller group of books than it is now.
Sure.
But I think that it's clear that it's transforming this way right in front of us now. I mean, no one can think about publishing a book reasonably without thinking about how to put it out in some form of an electronic format of some sort.
Yeah. But I don't know, but for instance, I love to have all my books in my library and all that, and forever. And also when I travel, and I travel quite a lot, so handy to have all the table on a disc, because I can carry all that with me. So we can have both.
Right. I was speaking with Richard Wiseman during the break about this very subject, about his book, and I said, you know, maybe I'm crazy, but I like to have both, because I like to have the book on the shelf, but I also like a digital version. And I think there are more than just the two of us that like to have it.
I hope so.
Because, of course, you have a big book at home, you like to read it as a book, but then when you're traveling, it's nice to put it on your iPad and go.
Okay. So I think we're okay now. Oh, no, one question. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a question for Danny. Is the trick that we saw, is it going to be on his next DVD?
Danny? This automatic trick you did.
It's in the next DVD, Utopia.
Wow. So it's a reality, it's not an utopia. Yes, that's what we do at EMC, because EMC is an utopia from this man, Luis de Matos, really, and he makes it a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaetan.
One thing, because we are talking utopia, one thing I will want to say is that, again, everybody here works for nothing, just for the pleasure of sharing things. And you do the same if you watch us now. Now, I have good friends, 6 months ago, we say, oh, Gaetan, do you want the EMC DVDs? I have them. They were not out yet. So these people were not playing the game we all play. We play for nothing. Luis de Matos, it cost him money. It cost him money, and a lot of money to do even that. Okay, so he plays the game. We play also the game. Please play the game for the next EMC and for this one too. Okay? So that's the end of session 8. Bye-bye. But no, it's not the end. It's not the end. I told you. The next one will be at 9:30. But now, as an extra bonus special, Mr. Max Maven, please. And El Maestro, we're waiting for you. Ladies and gentlemen, so you introduce?
All right, I'll do the introduction. As those of you watching know, we've had ongoing problems off and on about the live stream, and some people have had a rough time, others have had a good beginning of the session that took place this morning, the first session that I was the host for. never made it out to anybody, apparently. The whole thing just somehow wouldn't get past the servers. The problem has now been fixed. Hopefully most of you are watching this in real time. Certainly if you're seeing it on the DVDs or in the later stream, it's all good. The very first thing that we had this morning was a performance by David Berglas. And it's gone, it's lost. I mean, it's a vanishing act of its own. David has graciously agreed to join us here for a special extra session that we'll give to you now, in which he will come and show some amazing card work. I get to be the spectator for this, which is a pleasure for me. And then he will actually tip some of it, which is a pleasure for everyone. So I believe he's mic'd. No, he's not. He is being mic'd. So I will continue by simply saying what I said this morning. There are people in magic who are considered living legends. There are not a lot of them. We have a few of them in this room, and one of them is the man I'm about to introduce. I have been a fan and an admirer of both his performing and his thinking. Well, as I was saying to Marvin Berglas, I've been a fan of David's about as long as he has, because I'm a little bit older, and I found out about David when I was quite young, even though he was working in England and I was living in the States. But I just drank up everything I could find out about him until I finally met him in 1977, and I'm happy to say that I've been enjoying his friendship ever since. And now so will you. David, please join us. David Berglas.
Over the years, people have wondered why I can do some of the things that I do, which seem to be opposite to the message used by other people. And everybody says to me, you take tremendous chances. And I don't really, because for every effect that I do, I have about 20 outs.
20?
50. Unlimited.
All right, I'll buy that.
Unlimited. So, as far as I'm concerned, if something did go wrong, which occasionally happens, in fact, I can't remember the last time it happened.
Oh, we'll talk hypothetically.
Yeah. The audience has never known, because what I finish with looks like I planned it in the first place. For instance, just to give you some illustration, mention a card to me.
Any card? The 3 of spades.
Okay. The thing is that, as Max has pointed out to you, we've known each other a long time, and it would be quite obvious for everybody here to think, here and at home, of course, to think that we arranged something.
I will promise you we did not arrange anything, other than that we would be sitting together. And I certainly did not tell you what card I was going to think of, because I actually changed my mind when you asked me to name one.
Can you remember the first one you thought of?
The first one I thought it was the 3 of clubs.
Right. If I wanted to find your card, either one.
Yeah.
Right? You mentioned 3 of spades.
Yes.
Right. This is a trick every magician knows. One of the first things they learn. You throw the cards down and one card jumps out.
Right.
But in my case, it has to be the right one that you want.
I would hope.
So we do it like this. One comes out of the center. If you see how the...
No, it has broken in the middle.
Splits, I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up, and the card jumps out, and that, of course, is the card
there it is.
You thought of. Right?
There. Okay.
Good. If you were to give me a number, just give me a number, not a big one, because
all right,
we haven't got time.
14.
14. What I will do is I will try and get your card to be the 14th card, right?
Okay.
I'm doing this first to show you a couple of examples, and then I'll try and explain it.
Okay.
So the second card you wanted was the
3 of clubs,
I think. Right. If I play with the cards, it seems innocuous. It doesn't seem important, right?
Not yet.
No, I mean, it's not. But if I were to cut them somewhere,
right,
like this, I now have your card at the position you want. You said 14.
I said 14.
I'll take a chance on this because normally I would be playing with the card still. But if we just count to the 14th card, you go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's the 3 of clubs.
Right.
Oops.
What I'd like you to do, and I'm still demonstrating things I'll try and explain in a minute, is if you took the cards, and these are normally their cards for magicians, so obviously lay audience don't carry cards.
Right.
Take the cards and just look through them slowly from, you know, just run them from hand to hand.
All right.
Yeah, keep doing that, and then think of one card.
All right.
And remember it.
I have done so.
You changed your mind once.
I did.
You want the first or the second card?
I want the second card.
Okay. Will you be honest if I tell you the first card as well?
I will be more than honest. I will be impressed.
What was the first card?
The first card was the Ace of Clubs.
Look at the top card. What is it?
It is the Ace of Clubs.
That's the first one. And then you changed your mind.
I did change my mind.
What did you change your mind to?
I changed to the 4 of Diamonds.
That was... you didn't change your mind then because that was right next to...
Yeah, I jumped over one.
I see, okay. Because when I showed you the Ace of Clubs, you can see that
there's the 4 of Diamonds next to it. Yes.
Yeah. So...
Do you want something more challenging?
No,
all right,
I don't mind.
No.
I don't mind.
Okay.
As long as I can find the card. I do this until I actually have the person I'm working to take the cards and go to the other side of the room. And I say the same thing. Look through the cards and think of one. And then it makes magicians very annoyed that I find the card.
I would think so.
So I'll ask you to do that. I'm not going to ask you to go across the room, but I'll just sit back and you turn your back so I can't see. Just go through the cards.
All right.
And just think of one on the way.
I have done that.
And remember it.
I have done that.
Does it seem fair?
It seems extremely fair.
All right. Obviously, I take a little bit of a chance, but I think you looked through the cards and you thought of that. What card did you think of?
I thought of the 6 of Hearts.
You sure?
Absolutely. I absolutely saw it.
It would take me a little while to find it this time. 6 of Hearts. Yeah. Excuse me 1 second.
Here's the 6 of Hearts.
And finally, take the cards, put them in your hand.
Yes.
And just mention a card to me.
Just name one.
Yeah.
Okay. The Jack of Clubs.
Okay. If I were to take the cards from you like this and cut the cards about there, right? So we'll start again. We'll just cut the cards about there.
Yeah.
And fan them like this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see they're all different. You can see these are all different.
Yes.
Right? And for me to find the card now will be difficult, but I will do it this way. I'm a junior Leonard Green.
Okay.
That's your card, I think.
It is absolutely my card.
And would you just gather the cards together, please?
Okay.
And when you've done that,
you
just cut the cards. I'm going to try and explain some of this in a minute.
All right.
But what I want you to do is to cut the card and then open where you've cut. You know, just make it a cut. Go ahead and show me what you've cut to. You've cut to the King of Clubs. Just before you cut, I cut my cards. I didn't look at them, I just cut, right? You cut to the King of Clubs, show to the camera, and believe it or not, I too cut to the King of Clubs. We do it one last time. Close the cards. Okay. Neat them out like that. Yep. And this time make 2 cuts and open the cards so we can see them.
Oh, with one with each hand?
Yeah, like that, so we can see 2 cards. All right. And which one would you like me to find?
Oh, I will go for the 10 of diamonds.
10 of diamonds. Mm-hmm. You could have said the 6 of clubs.
I certainly could have.
Yeah. If I wanted to find the that card, let me just do this. I've just played with the cards, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think it looks very suspicious, what I've done.
Not yet.
Because they just seem to drop. But if I open the card like this, we find the one that you've chosen.
The one I chose was on top, yes.
That's the 10 of diamonds. That's how I find it right. I'll try and give you a few explanations.
All right.
I never ever say, take a card. Mm-hmm. There's only 2 tricks that I know where it's necessary for that. It's for the rising cards. I have 3 cards chosen in the traditional way. Normally I say, think of a card, mention a card, or say a card.
Right.
And I make a specific fan, which I don't know why, but magicians have always said it's different. It's not a pressure fan. It's not a drag fan, but enables me to see all the cards. Every one is visible. I put some pressure with my thumb on it so you get a curve.
Now, if I might interject, I know this isn't your phrase for it, but in the new and large book that Richard Kaufman has just put out on your card work, he calls this a push fan.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you get the book, that's what to look for.
We never had a name for it, but I twist my hand around like this and I spread the cards rather like spreading paint. Now, you can only go as far as that when you spread the cards. It would stop there. Mm-hmm. So I use these fingers to complete the fan. So it's done instantaneously. As they come up on this side, the other side comes down, which gives me a complete fan.
So now the whole deck is in view.
I then put this pressure on to get the arc. And I say, look at the cards and think of one. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't actually look at the cards after that. I know where you've looked. And I divide the cards into zones. So I'm not going to cut what I think is your zone. Tell me the card you thought of.
The 2 of hearts.
I'm just going to tell you quite openly. It's the second card. In that case, you've seen me do this before. I would say if it's a top card, I won't take the credit for it. And it's not. If it's the bottom card, I won't take the credit for it. But I know the card is on top now.
Right.
So I'm very seldom more than 2 cards on either way.
So with this gambit of it's not on top, it's not on the bottom, you've now made it on top.
That's an out.
And now you have, I've seen you do this, you use a bit of time misdirection.
Yeah.
And then the card is suddenly on top.
9 times out of 10, I cut to the card.
Right.
So when I close the cards, after you've looked at them, and I don't have to look at the cards, I have to look at you, and I've cut to the zone, I'll do that again. I make it a very sloppy closed loop. When I go like this, I haven't quite closed the fan properly. And if I show you, I'm actually looking at 4 cards. If you look, I see those 2 and I see those 2 at least. What was the card you thought of?
Well, you've nailed me because I thought of the 7 of spades.
Which is the top card now. That's because I capture it instinctively. It's not a fantastic magical trick. It's a psychological trick by watching a person. Now there's a simple out. If I've missed it, if I'm not looking at the person properly, these fan a little better. these were used before, so they don't transfer. But when I show them to you, and I say, look at the cards and think of one, and you do that, I then try and get the zone and capture it. And at that moment, if I missed you looking at the card, I say, are you sure you saw it? Is it there? And of course,
now
you
I'm going to double check.
So by you looking back, I have a double check on that, and then I capture that card again. As far as the other two things are concerned, when I ask you to look through the cards like that,
yes,
people don't stop on the card, but there is the reaction. And after they've thought of a card, they lose interest. And you can see that by body movements, for the shoulders droop, they breathe differently. So I say, look through the card, think of one, and I watch what they're looking at. And it's mostly the one I have to look at myself, and then they lose interest, but they continue. I said, have you got one? They say yes, but they're not even looking at the others.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, believe it or not, can be done when they've moved to the other side of the room, because again, you see body movement, you see...
So in that case, you're estimating from, obviously not seeing the faces, but you're estimating the location.
I don't need to see the cards. I just see the way the person's holding the card. I don't have to see the cards, just your elbows, your shoulders,
so even if they're turned away,
neck,
you have a sense of
everything.
when they've...
And as I watch, I can guess the area they've done, they've looked at. When they come back, I cut there without even looking at the cards. Now that I've cut, it's not very suspicious, because they say you couldn't possibly know the card I'm thinking of from over there. Now I'm now doing a sloppy spread where I've got at least 4 or 5 cards in view. And as you tell me what it is, I can take one card away, put it at the bottom, and so on. Any questions?
Well, yes, many. But having read the new book, as well as the one that David Britland wrote a number of years ago, I can say honestly that most of the questions that I would have to ask you here, or that people watching at home would have, are in those books, and for the card stuff, particularly in the new book, because the amount of detail there is extraordinary.
Thank you. It took a long time to do. In fact, it took a lifetime to do, and it took nearly another lifetime for somebody to persuade me to put it in print, not because I wanted to keep the secrets, but because I didn't think it could be explained in print. It's a very hard thing to explain.
I will say that I have read a lot of stuff on this general type of work. I don't think I've ever seen one person's journey through this explored in such extraordinary detail. I forget, is it something like 70,000 words on just on just the Burglas effect?
I think the Burglas says about 30,000.
Okay,
but
it's a lot of text, but it's all good. I mean, it all serves a purpose. There's no padding in the book.
Well, most of the book is the philosophy of it, and looking at yourself and starting afresh, not based on other card tricks. But you said, you made a comment when you got the PDF file.
Right.
And you looked through it, and you said something to Richard, which was really pleasing. They said, you've explained something that cannot be explained.
I have to say, it's a very impressive accomplishment. Obviously, your part of the impressive accomplishment is clear, but I'll give great credit also to Richard, because he discusses things that shouldn't be explainable, and does so in part because this isn't his type of field.
No,
Richard is used to explaining card sleights or coin sleights, and for Richard to be exploring this with you, he had to understand it himself, because it was all new thinking to him. And the result is a book that contains a wealth of interesting information.
You know, he's a sort of man who has never done any trick that requires thinking or patter.
Right.
For instance, he specializes in what he calls an invisible pass. I don't know whether he does it or I've never seen it. He does that and he says he's done it, so I believe him. But as far as I know, he does only things that he's studied for years.
Right.
And he's never been involved with this free thinking.
No, this is, I can tell you quite conclusively, this is brand new territory for Richard, but that's one of the things that has allowed him to explain your work and your ideas to people for whom it would also be new.
Well, what I was just going to say to you is that when he goes to conventions and has a stand for his magazine, he's been demonstrating think of a card exactly the same way of panning, say, think of a card. And the fact that he can do it is proof that...
If Richard can do it, pretty much anybody can do it.
Can do it.
And with that backhanded compliment, I'm going to say thank you, David, for sharing this extra time with us. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the demonstrations and the discussion. We're delighted you're here.
Thank you.
And we'll see all of you in, what, about an hour's time. We'll start the next session. But for right now, lots to think about. Thank you, David.
Thank you.